Hi, today we are going to start Unit 5 that is based around the marketing tools that you will need in the business environment. We're going to begin Chapter 11, and it is bases for marketing, developing relationships. The next slide is going to be just a quick video that's an overview of what is exactly considered marketing.
Marketing. I know what that is. It's advertising. It's designing a brochure. It's having a website and a Facebook page. And it's expensive. I don't need it for my business. That's what a lot of people think. Maybe you do too. Let me tell you what marketing really is. In simple terms, marketing is about making sure the right people know about what you have to offer, getting them to come to you, and then getting them to buy. And is about making sure that your business makes a profit too. Customers are really important to any business. After all, if you don't have customers who are buying from you, then there's no income coming into the business, and you don't have a business. Effective marketing puts the customer at the center of your business. It makes sure that your business stands out from the competition. It's more than doing random activities like the occasional advert in the local paper, or sending out an email once in a while, or going to a local networking event just once. Marketing gives you a powerful set of tools, and if you put the right mix together in a coordinated and consistent way, then you can create an ongoing flow of paying customers straight to your doorstep. Good, eh? And marketing doesn't have to cost a lot. It's more about using your knowledge rather than your bank account. All you need is some time, energy, and some creative thinking, and you can get great results from your marketing. This module takes you through marketing step by step, from defining your product or service and identifying your customers, to planning how to attract them and getting them to buy, so you can make a profit. After all, it's called winning and keeping customers.
So, exactly what is marketing? We can define marketing as a group of activities that are designed to expedite transactions by creating, distributing, pricing, and promoting goods, services, and ideas. The goal of marketing is to create value by allowing individuals and/or organizations to obtain what they need and what they want. Some of the other functional areas of business, which could be considered operations, finance, and all areas of management, have to be coordinated with marketing decisions. Businesses cannot achieve their objectives unless they provide something that customers want and value. It's important to understand not only what marketing is, but you have to understand what marketing is not. And this is very important. Marketing is not manipulating customers. That is not, you may manipulate them one time, but then they're not going to come back and buy your product. So you have to remember that it is not manipulating customers to get them to buy your products, and it's not just selling and advertising your product. Marketing is focused on creating exchanges that will satisfy the customer's needs, wants, or desires. The exchange relationship is the act of giving up one thing, which would be from a customer, money, credit, labor, goods, in return for something else, goods, services, or ideas. Thus, your business is going to create an exchange with customers and then create exchanges with each other. When you think of marketing products, you may think of only tangible things such as cars or books or even clothes. But sometimes what customers want is a way to get a job done, solve a problem, or even gain some enjoyment. You can go out to Lowe's and buy a Hoover vacuum cleaner, not because you want a really super cool vacuum cleaner, but because you need it to vacuum your carpets. Therefore, that tangible product itself may not be as important to you as the image or the benefit associated with that product. what we're talking about is the intangible. Something of value can be that you got clean carpets, and clean carpets make you feel good. And so by using that product or that image evoked by it, or it could even be the brand name that you bought a Hoover vacuum cleaner. In our society today, companies find that communicating with customers through digital media sites can enhance the customer relationship and create value for brands. And you'll notice on this slide, it talks about Twitter, following your interest. Facebook is another digital communication where we get bombarded with, people wanting us to buy their product. So digital media has really created its own niche within the marketing of our products. Let's look at the functions of marketing. Marketing focuses on a complex set of activities that we must perform to accomplish the objectives and generate exchanges. Buying, a marketer must understand the buyer's needs and desires to determine what products to make available. Selling, marketers usually view selling as a persuasive activity that's accomplished through promotion, advertising, personal selling, sales promotion, publicity, and even packaging. Transporting, we really don't think of transporting as part of the marketing process, but transportation is the process of moving products from the seller to the buyer. Marketers must focus on transportation cost and services. Again, storing, like transportation, we don't view it as part of the marketing process, but it is part of the physical distribution of products, and it includes warehousing those goods. Grading refers to the standardization products by dividing them into subgroups, displaying and labeling them so that consumers clearly understand their nature and quality. In the grading, you see that a lot in meat when you go to the grocery store and you buy hamburger meat, or a roast or anything. It's always graded. So we think about that when we think about grading. Financing is another aspect of marketing, and for many products, especially large items such as automobiles, refrigerators, new houses, the marketer can arrange credit to expedite the purchase. And then you have marketing research, and by gathering information on a regular basis, you can detect what are the new trends and changes in consumer taste, because what is a popular product today, 6 months from now, may not be a popular product. And then the last one is risk taking. Risk is the chance of loss associated with any marketing decision. And the implication of risk is that most marketing decisions will either result in success or failure. And when I was looking at this one, the one that popped into my mind the most was when Coca-Cola a couple of years ago came out with a new Coca-Cola product. I don't even remember what it was. And they marketed it, and it was supposed to just be the greatest thing since grits, and it fell flat. It did not stay on the market very long. So that was not a success. Now, value is an important element in the managing of long-term customer relationships, and also in implementing the marketing concept that we're going to be talking about. We can view value as a customer's subjective assessment of the benefits relative to the cost in determining what they consider the worth of a product. I like this little formula that they have on this slide, where customer value equals customer benefits minus customer's cost. Now, a customer benefit can include anything a buyer receives in that exchange. Customers are going to judge which type of accommodations offer them the best value according to the benefits they desire and their willingness and ability to pay for the cost associated with those benefits. Customer cost can include anything a buyer must give up to obtain the benefits of the product. Of course, we always think of the most obvious cost is in the monetary price of the product, but there are also some non-monetary costs that can be equally important in a customer's determination of value. Two of the non-monetary costs that we want to look at are time and effort that a customer's expend to find and purchase those desired products. Now, on the previous slide, we talked a little bit about customer benefit, and remember that a customer benefit includes anything that a buyer receives in an exchange. And this is just showing you an example. Hotels and motels, for example, they always provide a room. They generally have a bed and a bathroom and lights, and hopefully they're clean. But each firm provides a different level of service, amenities, the atmosphere of its guests. And so right here we're going to compare two of them. The Hampton Inn offers minimum services necessary to maintain a quality, efficient, low-price overnight accommodation. So when you go and check into a Hampton Inn, you are going in knowing that you are not going to be greeted at the door by a bellman, and someone's not going to carry your bags to your room. So that's the benefit that you are looking at, is a lower price. But then if you look at the Ritz-Carlton, they provide every imaginable service, and they strive to ensure that all services are of the highest quality. And you know, I'm going to pay 3 times at the Ritz-Carlton what I would pay at the Hampton Inn, but I have a bellman that's going to meet me at the door. I'm going to have someone to park my car, bring up my luggage. I can also order room service. So as a customer, they're going to judge which type of accommodation offers them personally the best value. Now we're getting into what I consider to be the nuts and bolts of marketing and being successful in business. And this is the marketing concept. It's the basic philosophy that's going to guide all marketing activities. The idea that an organization should try to satisfy customers' needs through coordinated activities that allow it to achieve its own goals. According to the marketing concept, as a business, you have to find out what consumers desire, and then you develop the good, the service, or an idea that fulfills those needs or wants. Businesses must then get the product to the customer. That's where 3 or 4 slides back we talked about transportation, how I'm going to get that product to my customer. The business must continually alter, adapt, and develop all those products to keep pace with changing consumer needs and wants. I mentioned it before. What's the hot item this Christmas won't even be on kids' lists for the next Christmas. Trying to determine customers' true needs is difficult because we don't fully understand what motivates people to buy things. One of the new products that last year was the hot thing was the little things you put on your fingers and you twirled them. Why would people buy that? But it was one of the things everybody had to have. Although customer satisfaction is the goal of marketing concept, a business also has to achieve its own objectives. That could include boosting productivity. One of the big ones is how can we reduce cost? or achieve a percentage of just a specific market. If it does not, if a business doesn't do these things, they're not going to survive. So to implement the marketing concept, a firm must have good information about what consumers want, adopt a consumer orientation, and then coordinate its efforts throughout the entire organization. Everybody has to be involved. Otherwise, it's going to be awash with goods and services and ideas that customers have no desire for or they don't need. Everyone in the organization who interacts with customers, all customers, contact employees, must know what customers want. They're selling ideas, benefits, philosophies, and experiences, not just goods and services. The marketing concept was a concept that's been developed over time. During the second half of the 19th century, the Industrial Revolution was underway in the U.S., and this phase of development represents the production orientation with its focus on manufacturing goods with increasing efficiency. Then in the early 20th century, we evolved to a sales orientation due to increased manufactured goods that actually created a surplus in the U.S. For the first time, goods had to be marketed or sold to consumers since there was an overabundant options available to them, and you couldn't assume you were the only business selling those products. By the 1950s, businesses began to recognize that being efficient in production and having extensive promotions did not guarantee sales. They found that they must first determine what customers want and then produce it, rather than producing it and then trying to coerce people to buy their products. As more organizations realized the importance of satisfying customers' needs and wants, we began to go into what is now considered the market orientations. A market orientation requires that organizations actually gather information about customer needs, share that information throughout the entire firm. Very important that you remember that. And use it to help build long-term relationships with their customers. Top executives, marketing managers, non-marketing managers, those in production, finances, all of the managers and customers all became mutually dependent, and they cooperate in developing and carrying out that market orientation. Non-marketing managers must communicate with the marketing managers to share information important to understanding the customer. Many companies are turning to technology associated with customer relationship management to help build that relationship and then boost business with existing customers using again, the telemarketing and different things like that to find out what customers are looking for. This slide is just showing how businesses begin to look at what customers are wanting and trying to produce the product for which they are wanting, meeting those consumer needs. This is the Tesla car, and they knew that there were customers out there who cared about the environment, and they wanted to improve the environment with electric vehicles. And so they actually now started producing. They started out with a high-end, like $80,000 electric car, and now through knowing that consumers want this but they can't afford $80,000 cars, they have begun to produce a what they call a mid-range car, and it costs about $35,000. So that is the way businesses are targeting customers, and because they know the trend now is to save the environment. So to implement the marketing concept and what we could call as customer relationship management, a business has to develop a marketing strategy, or it's a plan of action for developing, pricing, distributing, and promoting products that meet the needs of a specific customer. It has two major components: selecting a target market and then developing an appropriate marketing mix. The next slide is a YouTube video I found that shows you how to know who your target market is, because a lot of times marketing individuals may go out and start trying to just throw their product out there, and they don't know who they need to target, who needs to be their main customers.
Audience. Have you ever thrown a dart with a blindfold on and hit bullseye? More than likely you haven't. This is why you would never create an advertising campaign without knowing your target audience first. In this post, I will give you the secrets on how to know your target audience. Get in field. Unless your target audience is in your office, get out. Go to the location where your target audience meets. Become a bit of a spy and observe them. I left my office and now I'm at the location where my target audience meets. What should I be doing while observing them? Identify who they are from their gender, age, ethnicity to social class and every other aspect of their demographic. Listen to what they are doing and saying. Write down the choice of keywords they are using most as well. Their identity will play a huge role in how you will communicate with them in your advertisements. So I know who they are. How does this help me craft my advertisements? Wants and needs. Pay attention to what your target audience wants and needs are. If there's a gap in the market that is unrealized, this will only be found out in the field through observation. Whether their needs are for survival, safety, belonging, or self-actualization, you must optimize and tailor your ads to those specifics. For example, if your target audience is athletes and you think their only want is to play sports, you may not realize in field that they also want a sense of belonging to their team. With that knowledge only gained in field, you will be able to demonstrate not just athleticism in your ads, but also a feeling of belonging. This will make your advertisement more persuasive to your target audience, which will create more sales. Most of the time, you will not hit bullseyes while throwing a dart blindfolded, so you must take off that blindfold, metaphorically speaking, and get into the field to fully understand your target audience. Once you have fully identified who they are, how they speak, what their wants and needs are, then you will be able to communicate with them effectively in your advertising. View vast.
So as the video talked a little bit about how to target how to select a target market, you got to know, first of all, what a market is. And your market is just basically a group of people who have a need for something. They have purchasing power and the desire and authority to spend money on goods, service, and ideas. Your target market is a specific group of your market that you want to focus on. I like to think of, and I found several videos, but they were very long, so I didn't want to put them in there, a target market for McDonald's. One of the big target market for McDonald's is kids. How do they target them? They have Happy Meals with toys. That is their target market. I'm not going to walk in McDonald's and buy a kids meal, a Happy Meal, because I want the toy that's in that Happy Meal. The other type of market that you can look at is what some firms are doing, are they're using what is called a total market approach, in which they try to appeal to everyone and assume that all buyers have similar needs and wants. Sellers of products such as salt, sugar, corn, agricultural products, they use this total market approach because everybody wants salt to put in their on their food. So that is a total market approach. Depending on the type of business you work for, other business can actually be your customers. Businesses buy products to resell. They use in production or other products, or for use even in their operations. While the marketing concepts are the same for both business and consumers, there is a need to address the marketing just a little bit different than from business to business rather than business to consumer. Now, most firms are going to use what is called market segmentation and market segment. Market segmentation is a strategy that divides the total market into groups of people who have relatively similar product needs. A market segment is a collection of individuals, groups, organizations who share one or more characteristics, and thus they have a need for a relatively similar product. Women are I thought this was interesting, that women are the largest market segment, 51% of the U.S. population. At the household level, segmentation can identify each woman's social attributes, culture, and stages in life to determine preferences and needs. Another important emerging market segment is the growing population of the Hispanics. It's one of the challenges for marketers in the future will be to effectively address the increasing diversity in the United States. Marketing managers can define the target market generally in 3 or 4 different areas. The first one would be a concentration approach, and a company develops one marketing strategy for a single market segment. The concentration approach will allow for a firm to specialize, focusing all of its efforts on one market segment. This one talks about the Porsche, the car, for example. They're going to direct all of their marketing toward high-income individuals who want to own high-performance vehicles. If a firm can generate a large sales volume by penetrating into a single market segment deeply. This concentration approach may be especially effective when a firm can identify and develop products for the segment and ignored by other companies. That takes me back a little bit back into the Tesla. When they first began, they were targeting environmentalists. And of course, then their cars were very high end. So, but then they didn't sell a lot of those because people on the high end, most people on that high end were not the people that were trying to save our planet. So then they went back now and they have gone back and developed a car that's more affordable. So you have to think about the concentration approaches, whereas they're just targeting one market. The second one is the multi-segment approach. And what that does is that the marketer aims its marketing toward 2 or more segments, developing a marketing strategy for each. Many firms are going to use this multi-segment approach. They're going to use different advertising messages for your different segments. They also attempt to use the multi-segment approach, such as the manufacturer of the Raleigh bicycle. They have a separate marketing strategy for ones that race, ones that go and do bike trails, commuters that ride their bikes every day to work, and then they also have a marketing strategy that focuses strictly on children. This is one organization, but they're looking at 4 different areas that they're selling those bicycles to. The last market segmentation approach is called the niche marketing, and that is just a narrow market segment that's going to focus when efforts are on one small, well-defined group that has a unique, specific set of needs. Niche segments are usually very small compared to the total market for the product. They're giving you the example of airlines. Airlines cater to first class flyers, but they only comprise only 10% of air travelers. But that's a niche marketing, because first class flyers, of course, are going to pay twice as much as just your business or your vacation flyers. So to meet the needs of these elite customers, they go out of their way. They have special perks. They have spacious seats. Their drinks are free, but that's their niche. That's where they're focusing for first class there. For a firm to successfully use concentration or the multi-segment approach to market segmentation, there are some requirements that must be met. And I'm not going to read these to you. Just look over them and kind of commit them a little to your memory. The next two slides are talking about the basis for segmenting markets, and there are 4 segmentations. The first slide is going to talk about your behavior. Your second one is your psychographic. The second slide will be talking about your demographic and your geographic. I think these two videos are very well put together and show you exactly what we're talking about when we're talking about the variables for segmentation.
Here are a few common types of market segmentation practices: behavioral, psychographic, demographic, geographic, occasional, and cultural segmentation. Let's start by talking about behavioral and psychographic segmentation. Behavioral segmentation considers a few things, such as the knowledge of your product, their attitude towards your product, how or how often they use your product or how they respond to your product, their loyalty to your product, and you can also think about creating a segment based on what your customer will benefit from your product. Now, behavioral segmentation is a great place to start when you think about segmenting your market. Let's take an energy bar, for example. What's important to you? Do you look at the price? Do you look at the calories? Do you want something that has less calories or more calories? Do you look at the protein? Or maybe you don't care and you're just hungry. Our messaging for each of these segments, so the people who are just hungry, the people who want more protein or less calories, or the people who care about the price, the message is going to be different, and it's going to be affected by the different benefits that these customers seek. We also need to think about the places, online or offline, where our customers may find each of these segments. So say it's offline. We may consider to put a poster in a gym marketing our energy bar. And online, we might want to add an ad to a page that sells workout clothes. Now let's talk about psychographic segmentation. This segmentation is achieved by studying activities, interests, and the opinions of your customers. You're thinking about the lifestyle of your customer. How do they spend their downtime? What are they influenced by? What image are they trying to project? What are the needs and wants of people in this common lifestyle group? For example, usually people who buy a luxury car can not only afford it, thus defining their economic status, but it also shows a preference to spend money on more luxury lifestyle products. So we can extrapolate that they may travel to high-class destinations, wear specific brands, or visit certain establishments. So say we're trying to sell a luxury car. If we want to market to people who can afford it, we're going to consider doing that in other high-end places, such as a luxury magazine found in the first-class section of an airline, or sponsoring the valet outside of an expensive restaurant. Okay, now let's break up the demographic and the geographic segments. So the demographic segmentation is, you guessed it, based on your customer's demographic characteristics. Things like age, gender, occupation, education level, income level, and much more. If you're coming from a B2B or business-to-business point of view, this could be the size of the company, the number of employees, or even the location of the company. Now for the geographic segmentation, This is just segmented by geographic areas, such as the country, regions, different cities, postal codes. Now you can do a geo-cluster approach, which combines demographic and geographic segmentations. You'll look at different demographic information within a certain area to create a more specific profile. Geographic segmentation is really important for international marketing. It's usually your first step. So an example of a geographic segmentation would be warm climates versus cold climates. Now you're probably better off marketing the coats you make to a cooler climate than you are to a warmer climate. Just as bathing suits might not sell as well in Alaska as they would in Brazil or the Caribbean.
As we just learned, the first step in developing a market strategy is to have a marketing segmentation. So now we're going to look at the second step, and that is to create and maintain a marketing mix. The marketing mix is going to refer to the 4 marketing activities. They are known as the 4 P's: product, price, distribution, which is also known as place, and promotion. This is the way a firm can control to achieve the specific goals within that marketing environment. The buyer or the target market is going to be your central focus of all marketing activities. We're going to look at each one of these as we go through the next couple of slides. The next slide is a cute little YouTube video I found on how to remember the 4 P's: product, price, place, and promotion.
Marketing is how I see you. Marketing is how you see me. So let's get off on the right foot, right? The problem with the fact is they all about the image. I'm a lyrical physician, integrated vision, dedicated intuition. I do it, I don't wish it. Initiate the mission, execute it with precision and a whole lot of rhythm. Don't ever tell a lie, that's an automatic given. On the fly, don't lie. It takes just a second to own your whole life's living. Be the one to listen, that's an executive decision. Remember the 4 P's, excuse me, that wasn't supposed to happen, but it did. Now let's get back to business, alright? Let me break it down. First you need the product, then you find a place. And you sell it for a price that'll get you free promotion. First you need the product, then you find a place. Sell it for a price that'll earn you free promotion. 4 P's of marketing: product, place, price, and promotion. You gotta sell product. You have to sell product.
So the first part of the marketing mix is considered the product. And whether it's a physical good, a service, or an idea, or even a combination of those, it can have both tangible and intangible attributes that is going to provide satisfaction and benefit to someone. A good is a physical entity that you can touch: a car, a computer, or even an adopted kitty would be something that is considered a good. A service is the application of human and mechanical efforts to people or objects to provide intangible benefits to a customer: air traveling, dry cleaning, or haircuts. Some that it's a service. If I go to the hair salon to get my hair cut, that is a service. And then last is an idea, and it can be a concept, a philosophy, a image, or an issue. The example that they give us, of course, is that an example of an attorney. For a fee, he's generally not going to do this free. He could advise you what rights you have if the IRS decides to audit your taxes. Um, there's also marketers of ideas from political parties, churches, and schools. So that is when we talk about the P in the marketing mix, we are talking about the product. The second P in the marketing mix is price. Almost anything can be assessed by a price. That is the value placed on an object exchanged between a buyer and a seller. We learned this in a previous chapter. Although the seller usually establishes the price, it can be negotiated between the buyer and the seller. The buyer usually exchanges purchasing power, income, credit, wealth for the satisfaction or of utility associated with that product. Marketers view price as much more than a way of assessing value, though. However, it is the key element of the marketing mix because it relates directly to the generation of revenue and profits. And again, remember, the goal of every business is to make a profit. If they're not making a profit, then they are not going to succeed. And one thing you want to know is that price can be changed quickly to stimulate demand or even to respond to competitors' actions. The third P in the marketing mix is place. It is officially called distribution, but in order to help people remember the 4 Ps of the marketing mix, then we refer to distribution as the place. It's available to customers in the quantities desired. Intermediaries, usually wholesalers and retailers, perform many of the activities that are required to move those products efficiently from the producers to consumers or initial buyers. So we have the transporting of the product, the warehousing of the product, handling, and you see this a lot if you order something online, you get shipping and handling. That's what they're doing right there. That's materials handling, inventory control, packaging, and communication. And the final P in the marketing mix is promotion. And promotion is a form of communication that is going to attempt to expedite the marketing exchange. Remember, the seller selling something of value to a buyer and the buyer giving him something of value in return. To individuals, groups, and organizations that to accept goods, services, and ideas. Promotion includes advertising, personal selling, publicity, and sales promotions. The aim of promotion is to communicate directly or indirectly with those groups we just talked about, again, to facilitate the exchange. Most major companies have set up websites on the internet to promote themselves and their products. While we still have traditional advertising media such as television, radio, a few newspapers, not a lot, magazines remain important. Digital advertising on websites and social media are exploding. That is where, if you are in business, you want to make sure that you have a social media presence. It offers advertising opportunities for both large and small companies. So whether you are working for a corporation or you have your own business, you have the opportunity for social media promotion. You can also create Facebook pages, post corporate updates free. Those are free advertising. So we would always want to take advantage of that. So before marketers can start to develop their marketing mix, they have to collect in-depth, up-to-date information about what the customers are needing and wanting. Marketing research is just a systematic, objective process of gathering information about potential customers so that they can help that information can help them make marketing decisions. They want to know information about age, income, gender, education level. Those would be included in that target market. The preference for product features. Marketing research is absolutely vital because the marketing concept cannot be implemented without having information about your potential customers. So where do we get this marketing information? The marketing information system is considered a framework for assessing information, again, about customers. And you have two basic sources. You have inside and outside. Inside is considered to be a continuous flow of information on prices, sales, and expenses. Your inside is going to come from your sales representatives, from your customer service representatives, just from people that read emails and different things like that. Outside organization, your data is really gathered through public and private reports, census statistics, and digital media sources. Now, a lot of times, when you sign up for something, if you just click and say, I agree, a lot of times if you have read that information, they're going to sell your report in that private report. There are generally two types of data that your decision makers can gather to start making their decisions on their marketing mix. First of all, you have your primary data, and if you read these, it's just basically information that is collected directly from respondents. You also have mystery shoppers, focus groups, and then just regular passive observation of consumer behavior. The secondary type of data is generally compiled inside or outside an organization for some purpose other than changing a current situation. One of those is the U.S. Census Bureau. Government agencies create databases for marketing research firms, and then you also have internal reports. You also have some online marketing research, and basically this just shows you the different types of online networks that you can use. You also have virtual testing, and that's when interactive multimedia research combines sight, sound, and animation that would improve the products and their features during testing. Carrying out that marketing concept we've been talking about could be impossible unless whoever's conducting the marketing research can answer the questions who, what, when, where, and how consumers buy. These things factor into the buyer behavior, and it helps the marketers develop those marketing strategies. Buying behavior is basically the decision, processes, and actions of the people who purchase and use their products. That's who they know that they're going to analyze for their target market. And then it just goes on to tell us that marketers analyze the buying behavior because the marketing strategy should be guided by the understanding of those buyers. You have both psychological and social variables that are very important in understanding the buyer behavior, and we're going to look at those. These are the ones that the book mentions. You have perception, you have motivation, you have learning, you have attitude, and you have personality. And you can read what each one of these encompasses, but I guess one of the hardest ones to me that would be difficult to change within my buying norm would be learning, because basically if my mother used Tide detergent and I grew up and everything was washed in Tide detergent, my behavior, my learning is going to be based on that perception. If it was good enough for my mother, it's always what I'm going to use. So these are very important to look at. Social factors also are included in buying behavior, and it's really a social role, which is an expectation for individuals based on some position they occupy. You also have other groups, which is a reference group. Buyers identify with this group. Social classing, a ranking of people into lower or higher positions of respect. And then, of course, we have our culture, which is accepted patterns of human behavior. If I asked you what was the key to understanding buyer behavior, what would you answer? to me, I think the correct answer would be that to understand our consumers and what's the best way to satisfy their needs and wants. There's really no magic tool that says, okay, I'm going to understand exactly what the millennials want or what the baby boomers want. So it's just understanding and knowing that we have to have our market that we are looking at. If you look at here, Hasbro toys, they did a study on how young girls played and interacted with toys. Um, by doing that, they introduced some new lines that have become popular with girls. So they've got the market share, and they're more capable of competing against Mattel, which of course forever was the toy store. There are also a number of external forces, directly or indirectly, that are going to influence the development of marketing strategy. You have political, which is right now big in the news. I know this will be blown over by the time we get to this in our BUS 101 online class, but a big political and legal and even regulatory force right now is the NRA, because of the school shootings. And how are they gonna revamp their marketing strategies? Delta saying they're no longer going to give discounts to NRA members. So you have a big strategy going on in all areas of that. You also have social forces, which is the public's opinion and their attitude toward issues. Going back again to the gun issues, that's a social issue. Competitive and economic forces. They're very competitive in the area of technology and the technology, purchasing power, the economic conditions, and different things like that. The technological forces, computers and other technology, they advance so rapidly that we're continually having to come up with a different marketing environment at least once a year for those. Marketing requires creativity, and because environmental forces require that we have to change quickly and dramatically. Changes can arise from social concerns, economic forces, such as price increase from our suppliers that would cause us to raise prices to our customers, product shortages, and even then the levels of demand, supply and demand. Another issue that we think about when we're considering marketing, and a lot of times we don't consider this because it doesn't really affect us when we're going out and buying certain things. But recently, climate changes, what we call global warming, carbon emissions, they're causing businesses again to rethink their strategies. Government, we now have stricter laws on gas emissions. I found this to be very interesting that by 2025, vehicles have to have 54.5 miles per gallon. That is astounding to me. Right now, the only cars that can get that much is your hybrid cars. So that, and we look at General Motors, they're saying, okay, how are we going to do this to become more fuel efficient without having to raise the price of a hybrid to what hybrid cars cost? So that's another issue we have to think about, is how can we make sure that we are marketing with the environmental concerns? So finally, we need to look at what is the importance of marketing to business and society. And I'm not going to read all of these to you, but marketing encompasses every area of business and society. We are, again, trying to get into that exchange process where we are giving something to get something back in return. The next slide, of course, are some of your discussion questions, but I want you to really focus on marketing. In my personal opinion, marketing is one of the most important factors of having a successful and flourishing business. Is you've got to get your business out there. You have to make it to be stand out in a competitive market. We will continue with our marketing. And if you have any questions about the initial part of this chapter, let me know and I'll be glad to answer them.